The elbow is a very versatile and powerful attacking tool that we use in Taekwondo. And it can be used in two ways. As a thrust, where you use the point of the elbow, or as a strike, where you use the front of the elbow. Now I'll be showing you the front elbow strike, which is used to attack the side front. Now just a word about terminology. It's not called a front elbow strike because it's a front strike. Because if you watch my video on front techniques, you'll know that the target must be on the center line for front techniques, and clearly it's not in this case. This is because the terminology front elbow refers to the position of the arm, not the actual strike. Okay? So it's just a normal strike, but using the front elbow. And we have other positions, for example, high elbow and upper elbow. Okay, so try not to get confused with the terminology. Now, as I said before, the region that you attack with in a front elbow strike is the front of the elbow, which is this region here. Now, it's usually done in walking stance, but it can be done in X stance, closed stance, and parallel stance. But walking stance is much better because you're moving forward, gaining forward momentum, which helps to get more power. Another way you get power in this technique is with the rotation of your upper body, there, like that. So if you add this to the forward motion, you get quite a lot of power. Now, you've got to make sure that you are in line with the target. So your opponent's on your side front, you've got to be in line. If you're too far away, you're going to be leaning forward and overreaching, which loses power and puts you in an awkward position. If you're too close, you're probably going to make contact with the forearm rather than the elbow. So if you're directly in line, you can hit with the elbow, your body will be full facing. Okay? And the solar plexus is a good target, but if they're half facing, then the ribs is a good target. And if you're taller than them, or for some reason they're squatting or lower than you, then you can aim for the philtrum or the jaw. Okay? Now it's usually done as a reverse technique, because if you did it as an obverse technique, your foot can get caught up with their legs can get in the way. And also an obverse technique, it's much harder to rotate your upper body, so you can't generate as much power. A reverse technique, you can generate power with your upper body much easier, like that. So you can practice from an L stance, going forward there, and this allows you to rotate the body because you have to turn the back foot. But if you're doing it from walking stance, avoid just going forward like that. There's no rotation with the upper body, so you're not going to get much power. So you need to turn half facing like this before you go forward and generate power. If you're hitting an actual target, pull the opposite fist to your hip. But if you're practicing on your own, then you can create a target by putting your palm there and hitting it. Okay? This way you can test your power. But avoid slapping your elbow, because this will give you a false impression of the power. Very often people just slap it very powerfully thinking they did a good technique, but the elbow hardly moved. So if you keep your palm there and then strike it, then you can tell if you've hit it well. You could also practice it bringing your palm to the side fist, but then you're not actually hitting anything. So better to practice like this. Okay? So practice it in two ways. On an actual target, for example, a bob or a punch bag, or get somebody to hold the kick shield, and do it from L stance to walking stance. And also practice on your own, going forward and backwards in walking stance, hitting the palm. Okay, so here's an example. So that's front elbow strike. And it's one of the techniques that's in the pattern Yul Gok Tul, which I'll be covering quite soon. But in the pattern, it's done after a side piercing kick, which is quite tricky. So I'll be showing you how to do that when I get to the video on the actual pattern. So that's it for today. Please join me for my next Taekwondo lesson, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. See you next time. Goodbye.